Coming up tonight, cut back or raise revenue? That is the question. The NIB fund is near depletion. A former prime minister gives his opinion. Setting a fallacious resolution for the new year. Get the experts' take on it. That's coming up. And the 2022 Boxing Day champions have caught the attention of Chris Breezy in a good way. You will have to hold on to us to hear all about it. Our News Weekend Edition. Thank you so much for tuning in on this New Year's Eve. I'm Megan Shepherd. Former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis reiterating that tough decisions have to be made regarding the state of the National Insurance Board. This after Minister responsible Miles Lorota said government will have to make a decision next year concerning the state of the fund, which he says remains on target to lose about $70 million. Minnis says the decision must consider the middle and lower class.
I've said that some very, very difficult decisions have to be made, and I didn't specifically say what decisions, but there are decisions that have to be made, and decisions with modification without necessarily compromising, especially the poor or the middle class.
Speaking to reporters on Wednesday, Lorota said government will continue considering its options on how it can ensure the fund's sustainability. He said the options include cutting back on costs or raising revenue or doing both. Meanwhile, the former prime minister says he's waiting to see what the government does.
I won't give a solution to that problem at this point in time. I want to see what the government does. You are elected to make decisions, to make difficult decisions, and you make decisions that are in the best interest of the country, not the best interest of yourself.
Police are actively investigating a shooting incident that has left one man dead and another nursing injuries. Reports are that shortly after 5 p.m. on Friday, two men, ages 27 and 25, were standing on Key West Street when they were approached by occupants of a gray Nissan vehicle. The suspects exited the vehicle and fired gunshots, hitting both of the men multiple times. The victims were transported to the hospital via private vehicle, where the 25-year-old man succumbed to those injuries this morning shortly after 5 a.m. Police are appealing to anyone with information to come forward. As many persons are preparing to ring in the new year this evening, whether attending their local watch night service at church or partying at one of the many events on the town, officials at the Royal Bahamas Police Force are advising everyone to remain safe. Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skippings is sharing this bit of advice.
My take, don't drink and drive. But if you must drink, make sure you have a responsible adult. Make sure you have a designated driver. If you know you're going to a party, ahead of that party, designate someone to be that person who is not going to consume any alcohol, so that you ensure that everybody gets home safe following the event.
Skippings is also encouraging everyone to obey the speed limit and other rules of the road.
At this time in the season, traffic is always at its peak. Everyone seems to lack tolerance at this particular time in the year. I want to encourage you, stay off the phone as you're driving, exercise tolerance while you're driving, and again, like I said, have a designated driver to ensure that everybody gets home safely after whatever function it is that you're attending. And also, as you're going home, I would encourage you to call family members. Let them know that you're on your way home from a function. Make sure they have the area lit up, so when you get home, you can see if there are any persons looking about in your yard.
Hours away from the start of a brand new year, Christian Council President Bishop Delton Fernander is sharing his hopes for the new year. Fernander telling reporters what the country needs is a prayer focus. For 2022, the country had record murder numbers. Fernander saying the council will call for a national day of prayer.
As a country, as we prepare to celebrate our 50th anniversary, it is my solemn duty to remind us in all of the partying and all of the parades that we need to begin the year in prayer. This country needs a prayer focus. Again, we will call for that National Day of Prayer. We will ask for this nation to bow its head and solemnly look to God that has brought us safe this far. He's been faithful to us for a Jubilee, and I believe more than a celebration, we need to pause as a country and tell God thank you.
Still to come on Our News Weekend Edition, health officials not concerned about crowds at Junkanoo parades. Is COVID no longer a factor? If you're in Grand Bahama and you still need to do holiday shopping, we have just the place for you. You have to wait until later in the newscast to know. Stay tuned. Welcome back. In the height of flu season, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville assures he isn't concerned with crowds that are expected to gather at the Junkanoo Parade. Darville says health officials were involved in the preparation in the run-up to the parades.
We're quite pleased. The Ministry of Health has been actively involved in the preparations as well to make sure the area is sanitized. We believe the security is in place. We're quite pleased with the wind factor, so we have no concerns as a result of any outbreak of any upper respiratory tract infections. The wind is excellent, and so today is a perfect day for Junkanoo.
While it's been months since the country saw high COVID-19 numbers, the disease that's killed thousands around the world hasn't been eradicated. As for the recent Boxing Day parade, Darville telling reporters the wind played a role in making the environment more suitable for crowds.
We're not too concerned because we have a 3 to 5 knot wind and the temperatures are excellent, and as you can see that the flow is moving very great, and we did all the preparatory steps as it relates to preparing for this event. I'm excited. After 3 years we're back on Bay Street, and I'm sure the Bahamian people can't wait for the bulk of the celebration.
Christmas may be over, but some people are still out and about shopping. Well, the Our News team had an opportunity to speak with local artisans in the Port Lucaya Marketplace in Grand Bahama recently, who say they've seen more customers than usual this holiday season.
Do from necklace, the anklets, the earrings, the rings. It's beautiful. I love it.
Owner of Moore's Jewelry Design, Sophia Moore, says this holiday season, sales went up for her business, and it appears as if locals are shopping at home.
Well, it helps boost the economy. You know, we think about things being slow in Freeport, but if everybody would just shop local, it would just do so much better for everyone.
While Ms. G sells handmade straw bags, hats, dolls, and more, owner Tia Beckford says she too has seen positive results this holiday season.
I've seen an increase. I've seen an uptick in tourist traveling. I've seen more foot traffic here. So yeah, things have been really good for the holidays.
These business owners say handmade items are one of a kind and believe shoppers should take advantage of local talent.
If you have family or friends that are, stateside, out of the country, you definitely want to get something that's handmade, authentic, and Bahamian, and it'll just give them a reason to remember you or remember the Bahamas.
Handmade, you put a personal touch into it, and it's not like on an assembly line and everything looks alike. No, they're uniquely done, uniquely crafted, and a lot of time and love was put into it.
Yes, but everything I make is time consuming. But the thing about it, I enjoy doing what I'm doing.
Chris Breezy in the house. Yes, entertainer Chris Brown acknowledges the Warriors on Bay Street. Junkanoo is alive. The details when Our News Weekend Edition comes back from the break. Plus, set those goals. You are less than 24 hours out of a new year. The expert shows you how. back. The Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture with a successful year under its belt after reopening the country with a bang post-pandemic. The minister says the year 2023 is already looking good for the country. Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture Mario Boleg giving media an update on the lineup of events for 2023. He says first up in the calendar year, the 50th Carifta Games.
Carifta is on top of the line. Of course, you are aware that we won the bid for the World Relays, which we'll be preparing for that. So you will see major renovations going on to the Thomas A. Robinson starting the first week in January. Spoke to the Minister of Works, who had assured me that yesterday. And so there will be a lot of construction going on in preparation to ensure that we show the nation, when it comes to Carifta and the World Relays, what type of facility we have to continue to draw more persons to the shores when it comes to sports in paradise.
As it relates to the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium, he says there is a scope of work that dictates what the premises need to be up to par.
That was some $35 million, but we won't be spending that type of money right now. We need to just prepare it for Carifta, and so there's a scope of work being done now to determine the percentage of work that we will complete and what that dollar value will be. You probably would know that till maybe end of the month, I should say.
The minister adding that there is also demand for the baseball stadium.
I just spoke to one of the owners of Mets. We're going to try and get as much as the major league teams here for spring training. So the next year is going to be a heavy one for us. We're going to have the triathlon also, Carifta here, and the rugby is also scheduled in August to have some 7 serious World Cup qualifier. Many others that is not coming to mind now, but sports and culture is going to be huge next year.
Boleg says Grand Bahama will not be left out in terms of renovations and events.
There is an sporting event that will be in Grand Bahama in March, where we'll have the black colleges will be down there having a track and field event. There are other major events that we have in the pipeline, but there's some things needs to happen in Grand Bahama also to as relates to facilities. And so until we get some of them up to power, we have some things in the pipeline that we can't speak to as yet, but we just ensure that the infrastructure is there and the facilities are repaired.
It is that time of year when everyone proclaims New Year, New Me. The ushering of a new year reminds people to reflect on the year behind and set intentions, goals, or resolutions for the year ahead. Transformational facilitator Anastasia Palacios noting that life comes with its fair shares of ups and downs, and now is the perfect time to reflect and plan.
When you have such extremes coming toward the end of a marking of time, something that's so specific and measurable, people start to question, what am I doing? And am I doing it well? So I love the idea and the concept of resolutions because they give us something to work toward. And I think over time, what we ought to learn is that we can say something, and the first thing that you want to do is speak something into existence, but the real thing comes down to action. Are we doing something about the thing that we're claiming in terms of these resolutions?
Palacios adding that it is important to give yourself grace and to be realistic with the resolutions that you set.
We find that incremental movements can be very helpful. So I say to people, in 10 years, what would you want your life to look like? If you can't go that far, how about 5? And if we say in 5 years, well, I'd like to have $200,000 saved, I would maybe like to have a new person in my life, like a new friendship or a new relationship. Maybe I'd like to start my own business or start a new job. Let's put that 5 years out, and now let's work back to what we can do this coming year to make an incremental step so that over the next 5 years we're working towards something big that's broken into smaller chunks.
While setting your intentions, she says it is important to be consistent. But what about setbacks and failures? Here's her advice.
Failure is only what you make it, right? But the greatest lessons comes from that. And the thing about these goals is that who we become in the process of the enduring, of the overcoming, of the stretching ourselves, that's where the real victory lies, right? The end goal, again, nobody can be certain when or how that will happen. But if you've allowed yourself to grow in the process, seeing that you could stick something out, you're learning skill sets and tools that will help you in other avenues of your life as well. So never see failure as final. Just ask yourself, Do I still need to do this? What is my why for this goal? And if my why is still very relevant to me, then what's the new way I'm going to achieve it?
And with everyone sharing their highlights and wins, comparison can sneak in.
I ask people to kind of reframe their thought process. If you see someone do something, all that shows you is that it's possible for you too. And now the question is, why is it that you want to do that thing? Like, is that the thing that you've been called to do? People's lives and their circumstances are different. Everything that has led them up to the moment that you're witnessing is going to be different than your own. And so, one, you can get advice from people who have gotten to where you want to go. Many people are more than willing to offer advice if you approach them in a kind way, in a respectful way, and can help you along that path. But is it something that you need to have, right? And so many of us need to take the time in this season to truly understand who we are, why it is that we're setting the goals that we're setting, and what is our intention behind them.
Now, if you need a little help along the journey to a new you, Palacia says simply ask for help.
And I want to encourage people, you know, if it's possible for you, get a coach. Find an accountability group, right? People that will hold you accountable to the things that you said you would do. And coaches provide a really good avenue of just holding your hand along the way and calling you out on your foolishness sometimes when you want to give up.
Junkanoo goers anticipate cooler temperatures. The weather report is coming up after this break. Stay tuned. And Chris Breezy weighs in on Junkanoo. You heard me. That's coming up in Our News Weekend Edition returns. Welcome back. Well, Junkanooers are hoping for cooler temperatures during the 2023 New Year's Day Junkanoo Parade. We're not sure they're going to get their wish, but let's take a look at temperatures over the next few days. For the average Junkanoo fan, seats in Rawson Square are the most coveted. Fans get to see all the tricks come out of the bag as groups pull out all of the stops right there. But what about the show on Shirley Street? Our Jean Joseph tells us about the fierce fight for the Shirley Street performance title and one entertainer's weigh-in.
People love to talk about the performance on Bay Street, especially in Rawson Square, where groups go all out with theatrics and props. Groups usually save their theme songs for Bay Street, but they are equally as excited to perform on Shirley Street, where more of the average Bahamian Junkanoo lovers flock. Groups let loose for the younger inner-city crowd who come to slap on the walls and shake the trees when Junkanoo groups blast their favorite rake and scrape, rap, and reggae songs. Though one family lost out to the Valley Boys on Shirley Street, they captured the 2022 Boxing Day title and won Best Music. The Valley Boys and one family went head-to-head with arrangements of Chris Brown's Under the Influence, and even though the Valley won on Shirley Street, one family won big on social media with Chris Brown and Allison Hines reposting clips of the group's performance. Chris Brown's post of one family's performance has now racked up nearly 1.5 million views on Instagram on over 3,000 comments. And the groups are set to battle once again this New Year's Day as the dogfight between the groups intensifies. With just hours to go, who will take the top prize on Shirley Street and reign as the people's champion? Drop your prediction in the comment section under this story online. Reporting for Our News, Arts and Entertainment, I'm Gene Joseph.
Thanks, Gene, and thank you so much for spending all of your weekends with us in 2022. We appreciate your staying with us. On behalf of our entire team, we wish you all the best for 2023, and we look forward to continue bringing you the best news, entertainment, and all the feel-good stories you love during the incoming year. I'm Megan Shepard. As you toast to the new year, have a safe one.